Hey, welcome to the August Ask Us Anything. You want to know what's kind of a vertigo moment for me is imagining that all of you out there, not the live people, but those of you listening on the feed, have just heard something that I don't know how this starts. Like, can you imagine? Isn't that weird? Like, that's weird in a weird way. Like, there's intro music and stuff, and I don't even know what it is.
Yeah, we don't know what we'll know this weekend.
We will know this weekend. So, for those of you wondering what the hell I'm talking about, this is the first episode. Well, I think it'll be the first official episode in the Ask Us.
I think the last one we did is going on.
Anything. Okay, if we recorded it. Well, this will be one of the first Ask Us Anythings in the Ask Us Anything podcast feed. So just
the second where we don't have our shit together. Next time.
I think we're a little slightly more together than last time. Call me crazy.
Am I the only one with a drink? Because I've been good. Did you bring your White Russian? Oh, that's awesome. See,
I have a sense of tradition.
I was good this time because I haven't the last two times. I thought, no margarita.
Yeah, welcome to the Ask Us Anythings, where this is the only place you can say I was good this time and then hold up a margarita. So we're doing Sterling and Sean's not going to let me finish this story. SterlingandStone.net is going to become largely a podcast network, and we actually have this. So even if you're live, you'll be able to get this, and if you're listening on the audio feed, you'll definitely be able to get it. If you go to sterlingandstone.net/FM, that is the redirect link to our Sterling and Stone FM page on iTunes, and you'll see. Right now, as we're recording this live, August 27th, it's just self-publishing podcast classics, and Better Off Undead, but it will include eventually things like the Ask Us Anything Hangout feeds. So where I'm going in this long rambling story is that if you're listening to this and you're wondering, well, how can I find out? Like, how can I participate in the Ask Us Anything Hangouts? The answer is that you should be on the repeaters mailing list, which is at sterlingandstone.net/repeaters. Repeaters, like one who repeats, plural. And Amy will let you know when we do our next one. So there you go. All right.
So, Dave, as usual, are you going to be the YouTube commenter, and I'll hit the docs?
Yes, I guess so.
I'd like to add that I have spherical ice cubes today, just in case somebody's curious.
I have Crushed from the gas station. These are my favorite.
Crushed like my dreams.
So I'll open the doc, but I think precedence goes to YouTube and live view.
Now, I notice on this time around we don't have like the live Q&A thing. We only have the YouTube page, which is usually how
I really liked. We did that one and only one time where we had the voting up and down.
Yeah, how the hell is that even? I don't understand why anything works, but
I don't know. I do have one I'd like to read before we begin. This question had precedence before you get to the others.
Is this the one I think it's going to be?
We got this one via email. Yes. And so here's the it's actually more of a comment. It says, we got this via email. This came to all of us. It said, I am requesting in regard of your goods and serviced and also your method of payment you accept, comma, please send me your quality subtle segments and framework for your part you perceive. Much appreciation to you. Signed, Sam. So Sam, thanks a lot for listening.
You'll be receiving my subtle segments in the mail soon. Look for the package with bloodstains on the sides.
Anybody want to write Dave's subtle segments?
I would. My hand is raised.
Yes. Look behind me. Special exclusive here.
What is that?
A table.
Oh, is that your standing desk area?
That is my standing desk thing. I have a second desk which I put off to my right. Initially, the idea was to have the standing desk on my normal desk where I'm using the iMac right now. So I have this table here that's supposed to be really sturdy, and I put it on my desk, and I put my heavy ass iMac on top of that. And the table legs slipped through one of the holes in the desk, and the iMac went crashing to the ground. Fortunately, did not break, although it has a few dents and scratches now. So I decided I'll just use the, what do you call it? The MacBook Air. I'll use that over here, since I usually don't even use it anyway. So
that's
other than the podcast itself, I think this may mark the first time that all three of us have jumped on the bandwagon for something a little crazy. So Sean and I were standing today for various meetings in awkward ways. So
Yeah,
Wanna see my
ideally.
ghetto solution? I've been using this little stupid red like
That's
toddler
adorable.
thing. Yeah. Where did you get yours at Target?
Mine? No, I bought it. I think on Amazon over a year ago, actually.
So was it stored next to your NutriBullet this whole time?
Yes. No, actually, my son was using it as a table to play Legos on in the living room.
Oh, awesome! It got repossessed.
Yeah.
So that'll conclude this episode of Ask Us Anything. If you'd like to get in on the next one, get your questions in.
Well, I figure I'll start off with a little meandering as we usually do.
No, this is good. This is good. This is good. Actually, in all seriousnness, I'm pleased to see the standing desk. I am. That's good.
I stood yesterday for about an hour. I'm not used to it yet. I'm not super productive, but I am less likely to surf the web while I'm standing.
Right.
Yeah, well, part of it is because I can't really see that far. So basically, when I'm typing blind on the laptop there because, or I can wear my glasses, but my glasses really suck. So right now, as I'm usually working, I have the computer like basically right up against my face, so I can see then, but I can't see far away standing. So
Yeah, and I know this seems like we're meandering here, and we are, but actually, I think this is really important. The standing, sitting stuff. Like and everybody's listening to this is probably writing and spending too much time sitting and figuring that out. I read Get Up and shared that with Dave, and now I'm reading Move Your DNA, which is kind of amazing too. It's just about how you really have to move because our bodies aren't being used the way they were designed, and this is important stuff. So I'm trying to figure this out. I'm thrilled to see Dave's trying to figure it out too.
Yeah. Ideally, I will get one of those really nice up desks, and then I can just use the iMac, and lower and raise it as needed. So that's the goal. So
I've been 4 hours a day all week, so like about half and half, which is fantastic, and that's in addition to walking.
Oh, show off. I have not walked but once this week because every single day it has been raining because there's a tropical storm,
that's
a hurricane coming at us. So.
And that's another thing you can look forward to at sterlingandstone.net/FM is the Walking Dave podcast.
I'm so excited about that. There's no podcast I want to listen to more. All right, so let's get to our question.
Okay. Bill Dowis says, what is the best day of the week to launch a book, both with a soft launch and with a launch that has a big push behind it and lots of promotion leading up to launch day? And number two, if a book is planned to be priced around $5, would it be better to knock $1 off and price it at $3.99 in an attempt to get on the Amazon Kindle Book Monthly Deals list of books that are $3.99 or less? I'm assuming that lots of sales from a big launch would help get on this list.
We actually just changed our release day.
Dave was right again. Thank you.
Dave was right.
What was your preferred?
I've always hated
Tuesday.
I've always hated Tuesday. Any other day but Tuesday. I Monday, Wednesday, any other day but Tuesday. Because
okay,
Tuesday
wait a minute. I sense a Better Off Undead episode. Much like the episode that was off the air where Dave was angry about people having the same name as each other. I'm thinking there might be a reason you hate Tuesday. No.
No, I don't.
Well, it's media day. It's the day that DVDs come out and music comes out.
All right. Well, the reason that we originally...
Which is why I originally liked it.
And the reason that I originally liked it is that in marketing circles, like email marketing circles, Tuesday through Thursday is sort of considered the sweet spot. So people are paying a lot of attention to email because most people are at work. And it's not Monday when they're overwhelmed from stuff from the weekend, and it's not Friday where they want to get
Wednesday would be the best day. That's the day everyone's like,
Well, it depends on your objective. This is one of those things where you have to know what you want. If you're trying to get on a list...
sell books.
The reason we switched is because we were having bigger launches as we go, and we want to hit lists. USA Today measures Monday through Sunday. No. Yes, USA Today is Monday through Sunday. New York Times is Sunday through Saturday. So if you have a big launch on Tuesday and you have a chance to hit the USA Today, you're missing a whole day, like you're missing Monday. I don't know that it matters too much if you don't think you can hit a list.
Right. So I think it's one of those things you have to figure out your why. I don't know how Amazon chooses their $3.99s, those deals. So that seems like a long shot. I wouldn't really base my strategy around that because it seems more tactical than strategic. I think you do what's best for your existing audience, and that's a question of do I launch my book for cheaper or not? And I see strong arguments on both ends. On one hand, you want to reward your regular early readers, absolutely, but on the other hand, maybe not, because then you're training them to always expect that, cheap. We've been talking to Julie Huss a lot lately, who's just really, really smart, instinctive, and she launches everything at full price. And
no, actually, I don't think she does. Because actually, I was thinking of her as a counterexample. So I believe that on the podcast, I think it was 161 or 162 episode number of Self-Publishing Podcast Classics. Our guest was Julie Huss, J.A. Huss, and I think she said that she launches at $2.99 and raises the price if she thinks she's not going to hit a list or once her eligibility for the list has been fulfilled. I could have sworn for sure she said that.
Oh, maybe I'm wrong. I remember in one of our conversations with her,
Sean was wrong,
saying that she maintains her price. People know her stuff's not going to go on sale, and if it does, it's like 2 years later. Like it's a long.
She doesn't
time.
do sales. She does right.
Oh,
I think she launches at a discount, but I don't think she does. She doesn't rush to do book bubs and stuff, and she doesn't say, okay, my book that's been out 6 months is now on sale. She doesn't do that sort of thing.
So I think you just have to know, what kind of relationship with your audience you have. It also matters the size. If you've got 50 people on a list, that's not going to make a big dent, as far as the momentum that you get, because not every single person on your list is going to buy the book. That's never going to happen. Even if you have great conversion, a 50-person list may mean 25 sales. So you have to take that into account, like what kind of velocity are you going to get? And sometimes a lower price will help with that. Sometimes you just want to maximize every dollar. So I don't think there is a best answer. I think you kind of want to make your own equation. I have this many people on my list. This is my expectation. This is the price that makes the most sense given those other variables.
All right. Next question. Bill Perry, the real Bill Perry, as opposed to all those fakes that are out there that are pretending
those
to be
fakes
the real.
suck.
Those fuckers. Real Slim Shady, Bill Perry asks, do you guys ever look at stuff by other budding authors to critique on the ideas, stories, so we can make sure we're writing something worth buying or reading? And you guys are busy, just curious if you do that sort of critique, or if not, who would you recommend partnering with? No, I would never do that. I barely have time to read what I want to read, let alone stuff other people are writing. That
Yeah, I agree, and it's personal
It's work.
too. Right, like
you can find editors that will,
Or a peer group.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of places to get that done, but and we're just other opinions too.
Yeah, we don't have taste.
Yeah, our word isn't the gospel, and by any stretch. I think that we're competent storytellers, and I think we're good at what we do, but we're just three guys. I think that our opinions aren't necessarily more valid in that way. The only opinion that matters there is the reading public. The people who will pay money for your books.
Except mine, I do have really, really good taste.
But if it's nonfiction, good luck, because Dave hates story with his nonfiction. He just wants, if you're writing a nonfiction book, Dave basically wants a list.
Point.
He just wants a 10-point bullet list. That's the whole book. He's very happy with that. If your nonfiction book is 2 pages, Dave says it's one too long.
I don't want to hear more about the writer's history than what he's actually or she is talking about. I want to know facts. I want to know things I can apply to my life.
Because
Sean, can you
we all
make
know
sure
you
that
will.
he doesn't have access to write, publish, repeat?
Or iterate and optimize. He's not allowed to read it.
Can we just write a book? I'll get to the fucking point, and I'll be the head writer on that one.
I would like that, actually.
Okay, good.
Okay, next.
Next question. Eldridge Black says, "Greetings. I'm a huge fan of SPP and even BOU. Really? And I have
People always say even BOU, or if in case you
And they always
BOU.
qualify it. There's always a really, or an I swear, or
I like the
I'm
make-
sorry that I like it.
We're the smut in the brown wrapper. I have a couple of questions. I think you mentioned redesigning Sterling and Stone website. Is that still happening? And is there a particular WordPress template you recommend for authors? Number 2, is the Authorpreneur's Almanac coming back? I hope so. Finally, I'm a little unclear. If I go through 99 designs, do I have anything to lose? Thank you.
Nothing to
right.
lose.
All three of those are awesome. I'll take them all, unless you guys want them.
Take them all, use.
Okay, so
Slutty boy, take them
yeah,
all.
our website is absolutely being redesigned. We are days, if not hours, away from that being a reality.
So by the time you hear
wonderful
this on the audio feed, it should be done.
it absolutely will be done by the time this hits the audio feed. The wonderful Maya Good has been kicking ass and redeveloping the site for a long time. We've been actually working on it for months now, because it's being redesigned as a podcast network. There was a lot to do. It wasn't just a facelift. It's a total overhaul. It will, facilitate our new podcast network, but it will also have tons of book pages and coming soon pages and a lot of stuff. And it was a lot of work. So Maya's been working on that. And we're also, it needs to hold direct sales and all that kinds of stuff. So yes, that is done-ish now. As far as the theme, we actually had a custom theme built for it from Danny Cooper, and later this year we will have an offering, maybe very early next year, we'll have an offering for authors with that theme, but it's still being worked out, it's still being developed, but it's a theme that we needed something very customized to exactly what we needed to use it for, and we had it built.
His second question, Authorpreneur's Almanac.
The Authorpreneur's Almanac is one of the podcasts that will go live on September 28th when our whole network launches. Yeah, so yeah, absolutely. I've missed that. I loved the audience response to that, and I loved the accountability for myself personally at having to produce that. So all of those things are carrying over to the new network. So as of September 28th, there will be an episode of that every single Monday, without fail.
And if
and you don't have anything to lose.
You don't have anything to lose. If you're listening live right now, this won't work. But if you're listening, certainly on the audio feed, and even if you're listening to this maybe a week from live, you can go to sterlingandstone.net/fm, and we should have multiple, like even before the launch, we're going to put up episode zeros. So if you've never seen that convention, it's like you go to the podcast and there's just a 3 to 5 minute like teaser, like here, or description, like here's what this is going to be about for all the new shows. What are they? Just real quick. I know Ask Us Anything is one, and the Authorpreneur's Almanac and the Walking Dave is tentatively slated. The
SPP, Artist, which is already out there. Smarter Artist, which will be Monday through Friday.
Which is daily.
8 Questions, which is Dave's brainchild. Although he has only recorded one. He'll get to it.
I've been busy!
Backstory, which is basically us talking about the books that we write.
Wait, I thought that was our Backstreet Boys fan fiction podcast.
Yeah, yes, it is,
okay,
actually.
All right.
And then next year we have the Indie Fiction podcast coming, and a couple more cool surprises. I think, did that get them all?
I think so.
BOU?
And that's the redesigned BOU will be called Worst Show Ever. So they'll finally have a name that fits it.
Okay. Now with a question.
And I hope the tagline is still "It is a podcast."
with these questions here, I'm going to jump back and forth from the oldest to the newest, so I get our new people that are watching right now, along with the people that first commented. So we're going to go back and forth. So it's a little all over the place. Okay. Roland Denzel says, "Good job on the standing desks, and also on Move Your DNA. I just had lunch with Katie Bowman today."
I loved her book. I actually finished it on a walk today, and she was great. And I like that she. This is just a very quick aside, but she narrates her own book. And at the very end of the book, I've never heard an audiobook do this before, and I'm at like 100 audiobooks now. So this was definitely stood out. She had outtakes at the end of her book of her messing up while reading, and they were really funny. They made me laugh. Like they were like, she's like, "Oh, damn it, can't I get this right?" And she's talking to herself, and it was very human and very funny. And I already enjoyed the book, but I enjoyed it that much more.
I pitched Sean on narrating, like I would go ahead and read some of our nonfiction books, and I think he kind of vetoed it. I don't think Sean liked that. We aren't pro enough yet. Like we aren't good enough yet.
Well, you'd hate it, first of all. You would.
Well,
You
if
would hate
Audra
it.
produced it, I could just break. You're right, I would. I don't have time for that. But it is charming when people read their own books.
Oh,
so-
I totally agree. But you'd get to chapter 3 and say,
Okay.
why am I doing this?
Next question. We're only here an hour and a half, right?
Yes.
Yes,
Kitty
we are.
Stout.
Oh, yeah. No, that's a hard stop at an hour and a half, too. I'm going to be like, drop the mic.
Kitty Stallcup asks, what were your favorite books growing up and how did they inspire you to write? Especially curious about Dave's favorites.
Dave just read the obituaries.
I read the Bible from front to back every single day. My favorite book growing up, I would probably say The Talisman by Stephen King. There were books before that, but that was the one that I really, just hit me at the right time. And I just like the world he created, the worlds I should say, as the character was going back and forth between two worlds, and I think that informed a lot of my writing, because I like that whole. I like that whole where nothing is quite what you think it is, and a whole like mysterious other world that exists, next to ours. I mean, it's been done a million times, but I really love it, and I love the way Stephen King did it in that book.
Yeah, he did it really well. I'll echo Dave on The Talisman. The first real book that wasn't like, there's a monster at the end of this book with Grover. Like the first
That shit scared
type
me.
of book. Yeah, that was scary. The first real book I remember reading is The Hobbit when I was 6, and I have a very distinct memory of that. And then I read.
Sean read The Hobbit when he was 6.
Yeah,
Fucker.
love that book. My mom said, "Oh, you can read it when you're older," which was a challenge. Like I'm like, fuck that noise, and I went to the garage and got a paperback copy and read it. And then
I read the Kama Sutra when I was 6.
my parents were really big. Well, my mom especially was a really big Stephen King fan, and they used to buy books a lot when I was a kid. So I would go in their room, and The Talisman is the first Stephen King book I read, and I read it when I was 8. And that's kind of a horrifying thought now, because I wouldn't let my children read Stephen King yet. And
Well, I don't remember it being that graphic. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've read it.
well, it's
He
not.
read Crash.
Yeah. That's true. Haley did read Crash. But I read at the time.
Yeah, I don't think there was any finger banging in The Talisman.
Yeah. Between the time I was 8 and 12, I pretty much read everything that King had published at the time. And when I was 12, I also read East to Eden, Exit to Eden. Not the John Steinbeck one, the really nasty one by Anne Rice. Yeah, it's really smutty, which is still probably the dirtiest book I've ever read. And I read it when I was 12. My parents had a flower shop right around the corner from a bookstore, so I just went in and read whatever I wanted. And that really did inform me, because I just had so much stories. I don't know that there's any one thing other than a lot of Stephen King. And then when I was older, I read Lonesome Dove, which I loved. I've read that book a few times.
Oh, you can't give us your whole library?
And the last thing I'll say is Soldier of the Great War, which was the first book that I read that I just thought, this book is so beautiful. Like, I wish I could write like this. But that was a few years before I actually wrote anything.
Johnny?
I will pass and say that mine are similar in the interest of keeping things moving.
Okay. Let me go back to the questions here. Chris Cloutier, I'm not sure how to say it. Hi guys, I've been doing a lot of blogging and I wrote a couple of books, but it's all nonfiction. I really love to write fiction, but I seem to lack.
Short.
I seem to lack when it comes to writing descriptively. Do you have any resources or anything that can help me learn to write more descriptively? I've been trying to read in different genres and take mental notes I notice from different authors, but I'm not a fast reader. I don't know if there's any courses or anything like that that you'd recommend. If so, I'd love to know about them. Thanks.
I think that's a language thing. I would just read more, honestly.
Yeah, I would read more.
fiction.
And Dave, I thought Dave stumbled on something accidentally the other day that I thought was really cool. Where he
The
was
body?
No, he was watching Sense8.
Oh yeah.
On Netflix, and he had not the subtitles, but like I think it was for blind people.
Yes.
And it had descriptions, and I'm sure those are a little more mechanical rather than colorful, but I think they can give you good starting points. you know?
And those are the things that really really matter. I mean, you need to know the mechanical things. You need to know what's important, what they're describing. Don't get bogged. I mean, it's all a stylistic choice. There's some authors that do get bogged down in minutia, and I don't particularly like that style.
Yeah,
but
you
if
don't
do,
want a 3-page, description of a saddle. Like that's just you don't want to do that.
Paint with broad strokes.
Yeah, I've seen that, but you also don't need to be Cormac McCarthy either, which is just very terse. You can find something in between, but I love when Dave was talking about Sense8 and how there were just these descriptions. You could also read screenplays, which they have to kind of describe the action that's taking place. And again, it's a little more direct than you want to be in a narrative, but it still helps you understand how that visual information is represented through language.
There's also writing thesauruses. I don't know of any offhand. You can look on Amazon and find whichever ones are reviewed well. That might help you. I mean, if you're basically thinking of like very basic things, you're not quite sure how to break it down, then those can help you expand your vocabulary, so to speak. Next question, Johnny. Do you have any advice on that, or roll to the next?
No,
question?
my advice is very simple and probably the least helpful out of what you guys said, which is just to read more. To me, that's a voice thing. You just that's habit. I think you get it from reading and from working it through.
Yeah, and read books you like. Like I know a lot of people, like when they hear read more, they'll say, "Oh, I got to go read all the classics." If you don't like the classics, don't read them. Read what you like.
Absolutely.
If it's popcorn literature, then if that's what you like and that's kind of what you want your style to be, go for it.
And I also think that you don't need to be religious about reading in your genre. I know that's a very traditional piece of advice, read in your genre. And I think you do want to read in your genre, but I also think you want to read outside your genre and look for those intersections.
Yeah. Mary Isla asks, how do you rank the importance of a self-hosted website in your marketing plan?
I think it's essential. I know Dave disagrees with that, but I think
I agree. I just, I find it annoying to deal with, but now that I don't have to deal with it, all the security issues, and I'm completely fine with it.
Yeah, I think that it's really important to be able to put up, your opt-in forms and, be able to, not that everyone listening to this is going to want to use a service like Lead Pages, but something like that where, if you're really serious about conversion, getting people on your list, and then selling those readers the books that you just wrote, then I think having a self-hosted website is a very basic business expense. I think it's non-negotiable.
All right. Jamie Davis asks, I'm launching. You can ask the one you just put up. I can't read it right now. I'm launching my first novel in 2 weeks, and yes, I'm already deep into writing novel 2. Given the 80-20 rule, if I only had time to do one thing to promote the launch, what should that one thing optimally be?
Honestly, I'd ignore it and
list.
focus on the second book.
Yeah.
I just would. I know that's not what you want to hear because you wrote this book and you finished it and you're proud of it and you probably got a really awesome 99 Designs cover and it's smoking and you want to get it out there. And I
Don't be putting blatant ad plugs into this.
I totally understand that. I didn't say /SPB.
Now you did.
So I get that, but I really think that because it's just really easy for people to forget you. A month is a long time. 2 months, 3 months. By the time you get that second book out, who are you? It's really strong if you go out with, for example, Dave and I are working on a project right now, and it's going to have 3 books in it, and we're going to get those 3 books done and then launch them one after the other because that's the strongest way to capitalize on what you have. And if you just write something and then you retreat and finish something else and write it again, it's just really easy to get lost. So if I had 1 book out and I was working on the second and close to finishing it, I wouldn't do anything with the first. I'd get the second out and then treat them as a property.
Yeah, I got to agree with that.
Okay. Kevin Lute asks, I have been listening to past episodes about how to get started. My question is, how do you decide what to blog about if there's the best way to get exposure? My stories tend to be in several genres, and I can't decide how to cross the line from hobby to career. Thanks for doing what you're doing. You're an inspiration.
We've had this discussion a few times, and it was actually one of the things that Audra pulled out to highlight on the Best of Self-Publishing podcast, Classics, that ended that feed. And I'm still not sold on the idea of blogging for fiction. Dave has proposed a few ways that it would work, and I agree. We've, however, chosen to not do that. At least Sean and I have. I mean, you guys may be doing it somewhere that I haven't seen. The problem is that I don't know that I'm convinced that blog readers are the same as people who sit down and read a book on an e-reader or in print. And so I don't know that I'm convinced that blogging for fiction is the way to gain readers. I think it's, again, writing the next book, which is the least sexy answer ever.
Yeah, and you only have so much time. So if you're going to spend time writing for your blog, you really could spend that time writing your next book. And you have to be, I'm not saying it can't be done, but I am saying you have to be exceptional. And even then, it's a crapshoot. You know, there are examples out there. Amanda Hawking made her career off of her blog. Andy Weir, you know.
I was just going to say, Andy, I saw the trailer for The Martian today, and it made me want more.
Right. I had the same feeling, and I do think that it's possible. But for me, I wouldn't build a strategy around it. Actually, I have built a strategy around it, and now I wouldn't again. Now we're moving to a podcast network because that's different. We really want to use our writing time to write books.
Now, if you decide to ignore all of this, and you are a great writer that can blog very well, I would suggest if you're doing nonfiction, it's easy. You write about the topics that you're addressing in your nonfiction books to get traffic. If you're writing fiction, however, I would suggest writing something that the people that are in your genre like. Like if, just for instance, if you write zombie fiction, you can do recaps of Walking Dead episodes. You can write about stuff that other people will be naturally interested in. Come to it like a fan rather than promoting your own stuff. You're a fan of the genre, and you're talking and you're celebrating other stuff in that genre. Maybe you even interview other authors in the genre and give them a chance to promote their book. The idea being that you're writing stuff that people can read without ever reading your books. It's just stuff that you're interested in, and that they could be a fan of your stuff without ever reading your book, and maybe eventually, they get to know you well enough, your voice through the blog, like, I want to check this guy's book out and see what he's doing.
And I would
agree with all
add,
that,
Dave
but
said,
I would.
sorry, Dave said, come to it as a fan, and I would just like to answer that from a slightly different angle, and that is, don't do it if you hate it. So going to it as a fan doesn't just mean, position it as a fan, but I would say do it because you are a fan and because you want to do it. If you're doing it purely as a marketing vehicle, I think your time is better spent.
Yeah, it's going to be really transparent. It's not going to be the same. You're not going to get the results that you want, and you're going to be really discouraged. And also, this is a core truth about blogging. You have to be consistent. I mean, if you really read between the lines and what Dave was just saying, it's about a relationship. The audience likes you, so they're going to go ahead and check out what you wrote. That's not going to happen with a blog post or 4 blog posts. It's going to happen over a period of time as you develop that relationship, and it does take time. So you could spend a couple of years blogging before that relationship means anything, and you really have to ask yourself if that's time that you want to spend, or whether it makes more sense to write more books in that time.
A good example. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
A good example of somebody whose stuff that we all 3 of us, I think, are big fans of Jenny Lawson, the bloggist. She writes a humorous blog. Love her style.
Yeah, she's a wonderful writer.
Maybe one of the funniest writers there is.
I've peed myself reading her shit before.
Yeah, and we all came to like her. She was writing a blog long before she did a book, and her book is basically like her blog. It's not a fiction book or anything, but now she's coming out with a second one. But we like her, so we buy the books. We enjoy them. Even if she did a fiction book, I'd probably check it out because I know she's so damn funny. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
all right. So,
question from Roland, if you guys don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I want to relaunch a couple of my books. New titles in some cases, new covers, and updated content, nonfiction, fitness, and nutrition. Is it better to unpublish and start new, or just update the current ones on Amazon? One way we keep reviews, but then the books are not new to Amazon. Although we don't have tons of reviews, we do have 50 on one, 17 on one, 13 on another, with the rest well under 10. Reviews haven't come easy, but I would lose them if it was worth it to start fresh. I think that's a tough call, but gun to head for me, I would keep them where they are because I'm not sure that Amazon really cares that they're new unless you're going to have a big push or a big list or some way to get more attention on them. Then losing the reviews may hurt more than anything.
And I can imagine somebody right now saying, yes, of course they care. Why are you ignoring this? They do. There is that 30-day cliff, so-called, where...
But if you don't have traffic during that cliff,
right, then it doesn't make any difference. Right, exactly. So the spirit of what Sean is saying about Amazon doesn't care is if you don't... You can get visibility if you're new as a... hot new releases is an Amazon thing. You have to be... within 30 days, and you have to be doing well. So if you think that you can get a large amount of new push, then maybe it's worth a relaunch. But if not, then I don't think I'd bother because hot new releases is the only thing that's going to make any difference. Like also bots and top in, like the top 108.
You'll actually lose those.
Right, you'll lose also bots, and you'll lose. You'll lose your reviews and stuff. We've done this. We did it with Cursed. We did it with Future Sex. And it wasn't worth it.
I would say try it with one of the books that you think that you can do well with, and
then you have the splashiest new cover with too.
Yeah. Get a nice cover, and I would see if you could book some sort of promotion around it. I know it's difficult with new books with BookBub because you need the reviews and everything. But if you could somehow time a promotion, and KDP Select, I think works very well for nonfiction. If you can do that, you might be able to get a lot of people in that way. I don't know if you've tried that before, but it's an option.
If you care about if you want to make a splash with a new release, and you aren't actually trying for an algorithmic 30 days, like you aren't caring for your metadata saying you're less than 30 days old, but you just want to kind of, this is new, then you can always just unpublish it, and then when you're ready, republish it. I mean, that's the poor man's way to do a relaunch. You won't have the 30-day window, but if it doesn't matter, then who cares?
All right. Question. Jason David says, so many self-publishing experts harp on what to do with your list and how to grow your list, how to get readers, get to your list website, so on. But not many of them, well, none of them really talk about getting started. I think we have. Getting those first few dozen readers, fans. Let's say you're at 0. You don't have a ton of family. You don't keep a ton of friends. So basically, you're
Dave.
Yeah. How do you go about getting a jump start? To me, it seems like the hardest part. Thanks, guys. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, that is the hardest part. But I think that's a good argument for KDP Select. You could do KDP Select. You could do a free promotion on Select, and you will get readers. I mean, there are people who are looking for free books actively, because we do shit on Select quite a lot, but it's not that Select is bad. It's just that Select is something that you, as an indie author, you should actively want to grow out of Select, because it's just long term, it's bad for your career. Short term, it can be great. It can be lucrative.
It's not necessarily even that it's bad for your career. It's that it's unpredictable for your career. You can't control that.
It's not something you want to build around. It's like building a complete business on Facebook. You don't want to do that because as soon as Facebook changes the rules, you're out of business, and you've seen that time and time again. You want to go wide. You want people do read on Nooks. You want to be on Nook. People do read on their iDevices. You want that. So but if you're just starting out and you don't have 3 readers, then KDP Select does give you some tools that can help you find those readers. And if discoverability is your biggest nut to crack, you just want to be able to parlay that. Right, Johnny? You want to be able to...
I've talked you into that, I know.
Yeah, make sure you get... what's funny? That ever since you put that in, I'm noticing it in copy all over the place. Like, even old stuff. I'm reading Colonization right now, and I've seen the word a few times. So anyway, you want to be able to just kind of trade up. So if you've got your free book on KDP Select, then make sure that you have a strong call to action that's going to get 50 people on your list, so that when you take that next step, you can. And then you use KDP Select. Don't just let it use you.
And for your mailing list, you should have a free book to give them or something something that'll make it worth their while to sign
Yeah,
up.
if all you have is your first book and no readers yet, then make sure that you start out with a short story that you can give, because you do need to offer something to your list. Because if you have no list whatsoever, you know, and you're trying to build that list, the hey, join my newsletter from an author that readers don't know, you're not going to get a lot of signups. It's just not gonna happen.
If I were starting literally from zero and I really had limited time and I didn't have a second book, I think that what I would do is I would take that first book, I would put a call to action in the beginning and the end, which is the Nick Stevenson method, offering to join my list to get something. If it's a short story, if you have it. If you're really low, then you could, low on time, then you could do like a DVD extra, exposition of behind the scenes, or you could do something. And I would put that form on my website that joined to my list and delivered the goodie. And I would put the book probably in select, even though I rebel against that now, so that I could use the free days to get that in front of a ton of people. I would book some ads to advertise that free, and I would just try and get a ton of downloads and try to get a ton of people on my list to get that freebie.
And Dave, are you still suggesting dick pics as a giveaway?
It depends on your dick. If you have a beautiful dick that photographs well and you have a decent camera.
Oh, he froze on a good joke. That's a shame.
That's Google censoring him for you right there. So since neither of us are prepared, unless Dave's back, he's still telling the dick joke.
Awesome.
That'd be a great dick joke. Every once in a while we hear pieces of it.
All right, well, I'm going to pull up the questions then.
Okay, yeah, because neither of us are prepared. Dave's the only one who's paying attention.
All right, let's see. There we go. Okay, so I've got questions. Are there any indies out there who are making thousands of dollars per month selling paper books? I like this question.
Honoré.
Because we just had a call with someone awesome today who was our last SPP guest, Amy Collins, and she was talking about how there are ways to get your print books into airports and Targets and all of that, but it's not an easy solution. There are a lot of steps that you basically have to sell well in digital before you can. We do know Honoré Cordaire, who is on our show. I don't know that. Was it 171, Johnny? Is that right? 172?
I don't remember which one it was. I don't know. You can look. Yeah.
She sold a ton of print copies. I do think that print is a way easier sell for nonfiction than it is for fiction. And I think genre fiction does even better. But I think it just depends. You know, for us, we do better with Write, Publish, Repeat. As a paper title, then am I wrong here, Johnny? Then all of our other paper titles put together, is that about right?
Invasion sells decently well in paper, but no, nowhere near as well as Invasion. As Write, Publish, Repeat. It's far and away. But I think that, let's say that natural distribution of paper seems to be much better for paperbacks. In other words, if you do nothing else other than have them available. But after talking to Amy. From New Shelves, Amy Collins, I believe that with different promotional strategies, it might be a different story.
Yeah. So know your genre, and nonfiction is always going to trump fiction in that area, and don't be afraid of direct sales. I know that the way Honoré managed to move as many copies as she did, and she didn't. This wasn't through Amazon. This was really through her website. But she direct.
Yeah, so she didn't just sell print. She sold them direct. She sold print direct.
Right. She directly contacted some big businesses and said, "Hey, I have a book that is, related to, your staff that they would love," and they bought them in bulk. So just, don't be afraid to think out of the box. That's all.
Okay, am I back live now?
Yes.
Yes.
What the?
It's right in the middle of a dick joke, and we missed it.
I could totally hear you all too. So anyway, all right. So we had two questions that were on deck. And they're similar, so I'm just going to read them both together. Bill Perry, again. So I've been writing. I put that in quotes because the past 3 months I've written one chapter, and that was done in a single night. Most times I feel lazy, or on times I do fire up Scrivener, I seem stuck. Is it laziness or something else? How to get past that? Robert Scanlon asks, I've been struggling to get back into a writing routine. And I miss it, but finding it tough to man up and get my mojo back. Have you ever experienced this? If so, any thoughts on your experiences? I also seem to have a lack of ideas alongside it for fiction, where before I had many. It's been stressful these past few months. I like these events. Keep them up.
Yeah, let me jump in real quick before we answer that, because hearing Robert Scanlon's name has reminded me. If you're out there and you are waiting for your Kickstarter paperback books, those are on the way. We finally got our new cover and everything, and they look great. And they were ready to go out this week. The fiction unboxed paperbacks with the Dream Engine paperbacks, but CreateSpace sent a box of many books that were all damaged, so we had to reorder the box. Yeah, like, it sucks. They were like, it was a 95% damaged order. It was nuts. So anyway, that new
quality is job number 597.
It really is just terrible. There's no excuse. But anyway, we're on the last leg of that, and they will go out. And I know Robert was waiting for his with a new cover, and the new cover.
I believe anybody would bitch about a book that's just over a year past its weight. I mean, come on.
Right.
So impatient people are.
So my take on this is that I think that you should be excited about whatever you're writing, and if you're not hitting the keyboard like, oh, this is awesome, then it's possible that you're not writing the right thing. And I think this is really true with, I mean, I've seen this with me and Dave, for example. You know, if Dave isn't really into what we're writing, it takes a long ass time to get him going. But if he's into it, I didn't fucking sleep tonight. I got, you know, and he's like excited.
It's that accent.
I become a hillbilly when I,
you know,
really
the words kind of pour out. And, you know, I know me personally, I can muscle through it, but that's just brute force. It's not fun. You know, I've definitely been guilty of writing things that I wasn't excited about writing, and I got through it. But I think, you know, I've built that muscle so I can do it. But I don't think that's necessarily natural or even good. I think that if you aren't excited to write, then I think that's your brain telling you that you're writing the wrong thing. And maybe you just go back to the drawing board and think, what would I be excited to write about?
It sounds like here both of these guys are just finding difficult to actually get their asses in the chair and write, and that is the key. You basically have to sit down to write every day. Maybe you won't write that particular day, but you have to force something. It's like any other job. You don't just show up once, you know, every few weeks and, you know, think that you're going to do well. You're not. You gotta build up to it. You gotta get your ass in this chair and write, even if it's shit. Just keep writing.
Yeah, give yourself permission to suck and pick a project that you can get behind, that you're excited. Oh, I want to write that. That sounds awesome.
Might I suggest writing a story called Decoy Wallet? I hear that's. You know.
Oh my God, Decoy Wallet got a new cover, and I'm just shitting
Dave hasn't
myself.
seen the cover.
We'll show. I'll show Dave while we're looking at the next question.
All right, awesome.
Okay. All right. Kathy Pelham asks, I seem to have a fear of editing.
Hi, Kathy.
Not because of the feedback to my talent, but because my characters give me their stories and I do not want to offend them. Crazy, sure, but do any of you ever feel a responsibility to your characters? Yes, definitely. I let my characters drive the story a lot of the time, probably more than.
And then you kill them.
Yeah, and then I kill them when they really piss me off. You have to find a balance between story and characters, but you need to be able to edit. You are in control of the story. Ultimately, it's you that the story, you know, you're the one doing the story. And if the characters become too out of control, they're pushing the story out of control. Somebody needs to rein them in, and that's your job as the creator of the world that they're inhabiting.
Yeah, I think it depends on what kind of story you're going to tell. You know, Tarantino, for example, I think that he's known for his characters, and his characters are great, and he does, in large part, let his characters drive the story. But that's kind of because he knows ahead of time that's the sort of story that he wants to tell. And that's not always okay. Sometimes readers, that's not what they want. They want a story. They want to turn the pages. They want great characters, but they don't want necessarily characters to drive. I think at both Collective Inkwell and Realm and Sands, characters, they're very important. Even our plot-driven stuff really is character-driven stuff, but never so much so that it becomes all a character study and the plot is irrelevant. I think it really is about balance.
All right, before you read the next question, Dave, I just wanted to go ahead and show you this and see if it changes your impression about the...
No, it doesn't. It looks like the cover of... it looks like Grand Theft Auto.
It's supposed to.
That's the whole point. Where am I? Am I in this at all? Am I the big fat guy?
No,
but look at his tattoos. Can you see he's got the...
The fat guy his name is Trompado, which means face punch in Spanish.
Is that a chicken wing tattooed on his arm?
No, it's the cover of the Beam.
Oh. No. Yeah, on his arm it's a chicken leg with vampire teeth. So.
Okay.
Off of so that is the work of the lovely and elegant Donovan Shearer. So who did that? And I just laugh my ass off every time I look at it. So there you go. I wanted to share that.
I'm sorry, Donovan. Not even your cover can save that story.
Oh, have you read it? Wallet?
Whoa, no, I'm confused. What's the other one that I fucking hated?
Redacted.
Oh, God, that's the worst shit ever.
Let's put a quote from Dave. It's the blurb. The worst shit ever, David. Right.
Decoy Wallet is very Confederacy of Dunces.
Okay.
Yeah, very.
Abel Azuna says, not so much a question, but a comment. I've listened to every episode of SVP, and this is my first live show. Thank you guys for inspiration and advice. By the way, I was one of the winners for a signed copy of the Dream Engine, and I got it this week. Super dope cover. If someone isn't sure where to get a good cover, where should they go? LOL.
The Dream Engine cover was not done by... The one that was sent out was not... that was Aaron Malos did that, so that was not 99 Designs. But they do everything else. Amazing stuff. Not everything else for us, but everything else in the world.
That was a custom illustrated cover. That was Dream Engine 1.0, actually.
MG writes, write, publish, retreat. Hehe. Sheena Friedis says, always been curious, why do you prefer Macs over PCs? I know one of you had a PC, that would be me, but made the leap to a Mac. Is it because it's easier to collaborate when you all have the same operating system, or another reason? It was a requirement of Sean that I be part of the Mac cult, the cult of Steve Jobs, that we all worship to him. It's specifically because we all want to work on the same stuff. Early on, we were doing a lot of stuff in Keynote when we were doing like freelance work, and it was just easier. And Scrivener was out first in Mac, and that was a beautiful thing. So that's why I'm on a Mac.
I've actually I owned a PC and never used it. I've always found Macs really intuitive and pretty. And I'm a little girly that way, so whatever.
I disagree with the way they show files. It's just stupid.
It's
still,
awesome
to this day.
It's still awesome.
It's reverse intuitive. Sorry. James Goy Jr., that 30-day thing on Amazon went right over my head. Can you explain what that is again if you get a chance, please?
I think we were just...
there's Go ahead, Sean. You can take it.
Well, I think it's just Amazon does reward hot new releases, but you have to be a hot new release.
You need to be hot.
You have to be hot.
Right. That's the operative word there. Being a new release isn't going to be enough. You'll just fade in with everybody else. But if you have a big list, say, and you can and you can send you can send traffic. Really, anything online is about two things. It's about traffic and conversion. If you're going to make money online, whether that's through your own website or through a vendor like Amazon or Barnes & Noble or Apple, you need traffic and you need that traffic to convert. But the traffic is really important. A lot of authors think that they can just put their book up and it'll magically do well because it's great. Even if it has a great cover and you paid for a really great edit and you have a great story and you wrote a great story and everything's perfect, you still need people to find it. And That's why things like KDP Select can really help that early discoverability. But what really helps, which is why a list is so important, which is why you'll hear us beat that drum over and over and over again, because if you have a list, you can send your readers to your new release, and then Amazon says, oh wow, a lot of people are buying this book in a relatively short period of time, and it's only 5 days old. It's therefore hot and new, and it will populate. It will show on those lists. But if you don't have any readers, if you don't have any current list or any traffic, then just publishing your book doesn't mean really anything within that 30-day window.
All right.
Yep.
Missy Morgan asks, writing question specifically for Dave. Fuck you other guys. No, shit. You have mentioned before that when you began writing, you felt like every word was shit. I feel like that all the time. How do you push past your fears and publish? Leap of faith or just a fuck it attitude? Thanks. I'm asking you because the other two seem to have been born with an I'm awesome gene.
Dave cuts himself.
I cry.
We have that gene.
Yeah, I don't know. I still think every word I write sucks. I write over and over and over. That's my deadlines are what get me to write to actually publish. If it weren't for Sean, I would still be working on
It's funny because it's true.
Trying to make it perfect. Yeah, just the more you write, the more comfortable you feel. I joke and say every word sucks. I don't think I feel like I'm getting better. I feel a little more confident with my words. But it depends on the story. Like some stories are easier for me to write than others simply because I know the material better, or I have a really good idea where it's going and the characters don't push me too far off track. Other times, though, like I'll have a really good feeling for how I think the story should go, and then all these either a problem will crop up, something that I don't know how to get out of, and Johnny has said before he loves that in a book, and I do enjoy the challenge, but it also, like, sometimes that problem will result in like 5 other problems that I then need to go back and fix, and that I find kind of frustrating. I don't know if that's even along the same lines what she's talking about.
I would take a slightly different tack on this, and I think that you do when you're unsure. Right now we're writing something. Johnny and I are writing something called Dead City, which is a zombie story, and we've had a lot to untangle this week specifically.
It's hard. It's hard. There's a lot of biology, and I mean, without it's going to sound like an instruction manual when I say this, but there is a lot of like biology and biochemistry and stuff that needs to make sense. I actually called a friend of mine who's a professional chemist, and talked to him. I was just like, would any of this make sense? And
then I
shared
listened
with
to
Sean.
that phone call, right? So we're because we want a couple things. We want the disease to be really believable. We don't want it to read like an instruction manual or be heavy on jargon or anything like that. But we have to understand how the disease works, because the people who are the main characters understand how the disease works, so that's important. But we also need to understand all the characters' motivations, and we also we have a pretty large cast of characters here, and we don't want them all to just, by coincidence, their lives all intersect. Like, we need to make that all believable. So there's been a lot of stuff to figure out and untangle, but we also know the worst thing we can do is go backwards. So we're not going to go back and change everything. We're going to keep writing and then figure, okay, well, now that we know what we know, we'll address that in revision, in edit, and polish. But we're not going to start writing back with stuff that we didn't know before. And a couple things have changed. And that will make a difference with how we handle it. But I that's just me personally. I know there are many ways to write, but I do believe that writing is rewriting, and that your rough draft is your rough draft, and that your main job in the rough draft is to get through it and to be done with it. And it's okay if it sucks, because it's about discovery.
And there was exactly.
Go ahead.
Sorry. There was exactly one time that we went back and started a book over, and ironically, not one of the better titles on it, really. So I think that's usually the worst. That's usually a mistake. Usually it makes more sense to go on and figure it out and then go back from the beginning and revise it.
One of the things that I do, and I started this back in my newspaper days, was when I don't know the whole story, or if I'm caught up on something, or in the case of newspaper, I'm waiting for quotes from certain people, I'll just leave placeholder text, say this needs to be here, like this characters A and B need to get from point C to D or something to that effect, and I'll just leave an instruction for myself.
Yeah, and Scrivener's great for that. You can leave, we leave notes for each other as collaborators, but you leave notes for yourself. I think I haven't hit it yet. I started in January of this year. I started Penny to 1,000,002, and I haven't looked at it since I finished it first week of March. But it has, I kid you not, maybe 300 Scrivener notes, and they're all for me. No one else is going to see that, so I leave myself a lot of notes. But I think,
and I'm reading Colonization right now because we're going to write Annihilation Book 4, and I've been going through and highlighting important things that are, it's the equivalent of leaving Scrivener notes.
Yeah,
I can
me
go back
too.
and be like, oh, okay, the reptars are described this way. That's the same sort of thing. You need to remind yourself as well.
And Manetsu has a question I'll answer real quickly. How long does a 99 designs process take from start to finish usually? And how far out do you guys usually start working on things like the cover and the blurb? Do you wait until the story's done or work while it's in progress? 99 design takes typically around a week. It can stretch a little longer in some instances, but a week is a safe call, I think, there. As far as cover and blurb, it's all over the place. Do you all have a specific answer for that?
Well, the reason I'm chuckling over here is because one of the ways that Sean and I have found we like to work best is to have the cover before we even start the book. Because the cover will inform... Okay, so can I tell the colonization story?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think there's any reason we couldn't. If you go and look for the cover for Colonization, there is a large alien half coming out of the dirt in a parched desert, and then there's 3 fighter jets flying overhead. So we had that cover well before the book was even mapped. Like it wasn't even beaten out. We just had the cover. We were like, we wanted a cover, and we were rolling, and so we were like, okay, time to incorporate some jets and a big alien into the book. I mean, it helps to inform it. We've also told we've told the magenta shoe thing, so we could probably say that. Sean and I wrote a book called My Stepbrother the Groom, a romantic comedy for the Lexi line, and that shoe on the cover actually it was a major plot point. So that's relevant too. So that's how I like to do it. But yeah, but other than that, you can wait. I don't know, wait until a few months before.
Okay. Do you have something, Sean?
Oh, I was just gonna say I actually we were gonna order some covers this month and getting that order ready, and I was gonna ask Dave for cover ideas for our new project, but we still have a couple more books to write, and I didn't want to stress him out, so I didn't even ask, because I think it's the opposite. With Roman's Hands, we want the covers as soon as we possibly can get them, and I think with Dave, he'd rather have them at the last possible minute.
Yeah.
Well, and Axis of Aaron is my favorite book. It's not the best-selling book by far, but it is literally my favorite thing that has my name on it. And that was the first book that we ever wrote totally from. We had a cover and literally nothing else. No idea, no anything. So.
Okay. Larissa Thomas says, I've been adapting a horror pilot I wrote into a serial, executed in the same manner as Yesterday's Gone. I'm also a cartoonist. Hey, me too. So I want to create deleted scenes comics as promo for the social media and as extra content for the yet-to-be-published ebooks. Is that super amateur hour and confusing, or do you think that would make people be like, whoa, extra shit boner? What are you laughing at?
Okay, so I'm sorry. Zach Bohannon just posted it on Twitter. Here's his tweet. Holy shit, have you ever turned on closed captions for your videos? I was dying, haha. And he included a screenshot that shows the unicorn and then the captions that were something we were saying. And it says, here's the quote that we quote said. And then Arabs replied hi, and she texted me a smiley face.
Okay, let me know if you actually want to pay attention to the questions people are asking us, Johnny. You bastard.
Oh, you've never laughed at something on social media during a show.
Not while I'm at. Oh, never mind. Okay. Second question. Sorry. Would you wait to launch a serial until after you have a few polished episodes, entire season, or just fucking go for it? Thank you so much. I never commented before, but I've been listening to your podcast for a year. Really appreciate hearing your thoughts. You guys are awesome.
I would absolutely wait until the season was done.
Yeah, I would actually. I don't know. I've been kind of against serials as of late, just because the manner in which you publish serials on, at least on Amazon, is kind of difficult. You are stuck either selling them at 99 cents or $2.99. If you sell less than $2.99, you don't get a decent royalty. But then you have a book, basically a shorter episode, and a lot of people are not going to want to pay $2.99 for it. So basically, you're forced to sell it for 99
Yeah,
cents.
and rightly so, because $2.99 for 10 to 20,000 words, it's not worth it. You know, it's not a good deal for the reader, and it needs to be a good deal for the reader. So yeah, serials are a hard sell, and they're kind of an art too. I think a lot of people tend to think of serials as a book broken down into smaller parts, and it's really not. A serial is different than that. And it really needs to deliver a serialized, exceptional experience to the reader. So it's hard. It's a tough sell, but for sure, if you're going to do it, I'd say have the season done.
Yes,
for sure. I like serials, but I like them as a construct, not as a sales mechanism. We would sell them as a book, but it's just the way that we write them.
Yeah,
I agree.
If you look at our stuff now, we release a full season. We don't even do the single episodes anymore, strictly because financially it's very difficult. If Amazon and others change their royalty structure in the future, then yeah, maybe it's possible. But even then, it's not a perfect system because you basically got 6 or so episodes or books within a book, and it becomes very difficult for people to manage. And I'm glad people stuck with us as long as they did when we were doing it. I'm thankful. But here's the thing: even though we started off writing serials as episodes, once people knew who we were, they didn't buy the episodes. They bought the full seasons. They didn't even bother with the episodes for the most part because it's a pain in the ass, really. Sorry if that deflates you at all, but in
6 distinct books. Yeah, it's kind of a pain.
Yeah, it's hard to manage in their library. It's just not fun. And what sucks too is that Amazon actually has the technology to make this awesome. They did it for their serials program where you could buy, one product for $1.99 or $2.99 or $5.99 or whatever it is, and it would just update, every time a new episode was released. But that was only for their Kindle serials program, which has since been discontinued.
Well, they've never said specifically that it was.
Okay, discontinued-ish.
Well, you don't want to put false information out there.
Okay, well, it hasn't been discontinued, but there's been nothing new for years.
Yeah, okay. Not years, no. We were the last book, and Hugh Howey was the last comic.
And what was that, 2 years ago?
No, not even a year ago.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I
self-publishing years are like dog years, like the opposite of that.
It sure feels like years.
Okay, so her other part was, would it be amateur hour for the, comics is promo for social media? No, not at all. And I think, assuming you're a good cartoonist.
If you're a good cartoonist, that sounds cool.
Yeah, there's not a lot of us out there that also write and can draw. Halfway decent. So yeah, it's probably not something you want to sell unless if your book takes off, then you probably could sell posters or prints or something. But it's better to give it away and just it's just a little extra something that you offer to your readers. So yeah. Next question. Nolan Overton writes 2 questions. What is your take, thoughts, concept of trying to get works on podcasts such as Podcastle or Escape Pod to help promote your work? Do you know of or have an option on an app that would be centered on a writer or company so when a book release goes on sale, events happen, etc., it will notify the person who has the app? I'm not familiar with those.
Yeah, I'm confused.
Yeah, neither am I. I don't know that we can answer that. As far as the app, I'm wondering what would be in it for the reader. I mean, I guess if you want to know about events, but
I think it's good.
I can't authoritatively answer that.
if you can get an app made that will do that, and you can get people to add that app to their thing, then yeah, I don't know how much of it's like
That
an
seems like a
80/20
lot of
sort of
steps,
thing.
though.
Yeah. But yeah, I would we love to have an app that notifies people immediately when we have something out? Yeah,
Hell yeah!
that'd be awesome. But
how do you get
happen?
that onto people's phones? How do you?
Yeah, we get
What's in it for them? They need a dedicated Sterling and Stone app, which we could do, but
Yeah, we've talked about this concept, but it just seems like there's a lot of friction standing in the way between that and reality.
And we get 10 to 20 emails a day, each of us, from people that can't even figure out how to sideload the book onto the Kindle. I mean, we're doing tech support all day. So adding an app to that, and you're going to get people asking about the app and stuff, and how to get it on what store, what device. It could become a nightmare real quick. Sarah, she told me how to say this. Negovedich. She said like Lego fetish. Question about pre-sale promos. I've seen you guys include bonus content if a book is pre-ordered. I understand that you have the second book ready to upload without the bonus content after the book releases, and that was my plan, but I've been told that anyone who pre-ordered will then lose their bonus content. Can you clarify the logistics exactly how you do a pre-sale or even first week promotion?
I guess the thought there is that the book file would update, and they would get a version without the link. Does it even work that way?
I don't think so. I think that if you pre-order it, that pre-order should be the first version of the book.
We've never heard. Let's put it that way. We did this with thousands and thousands of books, and not one person told us that.
We did have a couple of people who said I can't find it, but they were also not looking very hard. It was just in the last page. And that was maybe 2, possibly 3 out of thousands. And I don't think it was missing. I think that, because it wasn't even like I looked on every page and couldn't find it. The email was, where is it? I don't see it. But you could tell they weren't looking too hard. So, no, I don't think that's an issue. I really like the method of giving bonus content. I like the method of giving bonus content for early buys and launch a lot more than I like the discounted pricing.
Okay, Rachel Tolson. I know you talked about this on SPP before, but I just want to check in to see if anything's changed in all the optimization work you're doing. So here's my questions. Do you have any tips for writers to get reviews on their books? I don't have a large email list, been working on building, and not even 1% of my people have gone to leave a review. I've made the ask twice and don't feel like I can do it again without annoying them. Does that mean I'm not attracting the right people? Semi-related question, if you're an author with a relatively small audience, should you wait to release your book, the first 2 in a series for the funnel or just go ahead and get it all out there, while you're working on building the audience? And lastly, thank you guys so much for what you do. Really, I've just gotten done reading Fiction on Box, and I can't even begin to tell you how encouraging it was to hear from 2 authors who don't believe in getting stuck, just as I was starting to feel stuck in one of my storylines. Now I know I'll write my way out of it. Not only that, but every week on SPP, I learned something new and something cool. Something cool, Sean. So thank you for taking time out of your busy writing schedules to do what you do.
One of the things that I recently added to the autoresponder for Realm and Sands is we have an offer to get Contact, which is the second book in the Invasion series, at the beginning and end of Invasion to join our list. Like, you get Contact free if you've read Invasion. And in the email series there, in I think the second email that's just checking in, I said, P.S. Not many people leave reviews. It really makes a difference, blah, blah, blah. Would you please leave a review for Invasion? I forget how I put it. But I've noticed a real nice tick with that, because if you think about it, the people who have joined that list are there because they liked Invasion enough to get Contact. So in theory, you're getting people who already
it's pre-screened.
Like your reviews. Several parts to that question, Dave. I only caught the first one.
Okay.
What was the next in short?
The 1% of people leaving the review. Does she attracting the right people?
Well, attracting the right people, I think that's sort of handled by whatever. If your list bribe 4 people who would like your book, like the sequel.
Okay, should you wait to release your book, the first two in the series for the funnel, or just go ahead and get it all out there while building the audience?
Wait to release the second book, and like release them at the same time?
Yeah, I think that's what she's asking. If you're an author with a relatively small audience, should you wait to release your book, the first two in the series for the funnel, or just go ahead and get it out there while you're working on building the audience?
If she's talking about the funnel where you're getting the second book for free after you finish the first, then I would say right away, because that lets you build the list faster. If you're not doing that, then I would probably release them at least a few weeks, maybe a month apart. Okay. Personally.
Ingrid KV Hardy says, a Canadian here, eh? I've been a listener of yours since podcast 4 or 5. I went back to listen to the first ones. To be honest, one of the most educational things to me about you guys is watching and listening to your journey from then to now. You're creative, brave, and persistent in your quest. I'd offer a congratulatory slap on the back, but I don't know how on the internet. So good on you. I wish you smooth sailing in the future for you. My one tiny question, how do you funnel down a ton of ideas into one solid plan? I think this one's for Sean.
Actually, before you answer... Oh, go ahead, Don.
I do a lot of things, and I'm not bad at what I do, but trying to figure out the one idea. For now, I'm just one person, so can only do one thing at a time to focus on. I'm terrible at focusing, much better at spraying ideas everywhere, awful at picking one.
So before you answer that, Sean, there was something I meant to mention, and Ingrid's question reminded me of this. So she mentioned the podcast, and we actually just relaunched Self-Publishing Podcast as a 2.0. And this is a little self-serving, but why not, right? If you haven't left a review for the podcast and you enjoy it, now would be a really, really, really helpful time to leave one for us. And on iTunes, because we're new and noteworthy right now, and the momentum makes a big difference. So if you do like the show and you like what we do, we would really, really appreciate a review or at least a star rating. And if
the
you
star
go in
rating
there,
takes like 10 seconds. Literally, you find the podcast and click on the star, and you could be done. Like, it's very simple.
And if you go through and you read some of the other reviews and you find some of them helpful or unhelpful, the 5 stars are helpful. If you could vote those, that would be nice too. So I just wanted to toss that out before we
I'll take that one
question,
step further,
because that would help us out a lot.
and say that if there's any older reviews, we have been accused of talking too much, not giving a lot of value, and what we really wanted to do with 2.0, and I think we're doing a very good job at that, is keeping it tighter, keeping the show under an hour, keeping our nonsense bullshit a little bit tighter at the very beginning, and really trying to pack as much value into that second 45 minutes as possible. So any review that doesn't reflect that, because we could have started over with all new reviews, but instead, we kept all our old reviews so we could keep our old feed. So some of those old reviews don't really reflect the show as it is or as we intend it to be. So, unhelpful on those is helpful to us and what we're trying to do for the show and the community we're trying to foster.
So on to Ingrid's question, narrowing down to one idea.
Okay, so I am the most guilty of the three of us for having a stupid amount of ideas. I think there's a few things going on here. I think that I'm better now than I've ever been about prioritizing and deciding, okay, how important is that to now? I'm a very, very big believer in asking yourself why. Why do you want that? Why is that a good idea?
Why do I exist?
I love the idea of like if you I was just talking to someone today actually who gave this analogy about back in the days before we used credit cards online. The idea was if you would have your credit card and you would put it in an ice cube in the freezer, because then anytime you wanted to use it you needed at least an hour. Like, you needed a cool off period, you needed to thaw, and there's a lot of sense in that.
I just put it in the microwave.
We get a lot of ideas, and we think, oh, that's just the best idea ever. And I think that if you're a writer, you're creative, and you probably.
Can we put Sean in a freezer?
Stick him in a block of ice,
like Captain America. So I think that you want
Solo.
I mean, for us, we do tend to think about not what is best for us in the next month or 2 months or 3 months, but in the next year. And so the year, 5 years, 10 years. So I think the fact that we now have a unified company where the three of us are kind of housed underneath helps us to be more focused on what's best for our long-term health. But if you're just a solo creator out there, it's very easy to get lost in the weeds of all of your ideas. And I think that the best thing is to surround yourself with people who can check you. And if you don't have that, if you're Dave, basically, and you're just, alone in the world.
You have nobody.
You have nobody.
Nobody to love.
Then I think that the best thing you can do is to just kind of really ask yourself, what is this idea going to do for me right now? And, add and subtract. Think of it as, you have a box of toothpicks, right? And every idea is a toothpick, and there's only so many that you can keep in that box.
Having Rayman flashbacks now.
And I think that, it's our tendency to think we could just keep adding ideas and adding ideas and adding ideas, but that's not true. Every addition is a subtraction. So think, if I add this idea, what am I not doing? And I think we as a company this year have been a lot better about that. Okay, we're going to do this. What aren't we doing then? And I think you have to ask yourself that. If I'm adding this, then what am I subtracting? And if you're honest with yourself and you ask yourself what you have to take away to add the thing that is your new squirrely shiny penny idea, then you'll back off, because it probably won't be worth it. And if it is, then make the appropriate deduction.
Okay, Tom Donahue asks, any news on when Robot Proletariat 2 is possibly coming out? And also, MGon asks, is there an ETA for Dead City? I'm ready to read it like yesterday.
Yes, Robot Proletariat will be out next month. Is that right?
Johnny's like, what? I didn't even start writing it, you bastard.
No, it's that one's actually been done for a while. I think the Platinum Readers, before we closed that, actually already got that.
Yeah, some people already have that.
Soon.
Now,
Dead City. Can we talk about this or no?
I don't know. I don't know. It just came up.
All right. Well, let's not do details.
I would say next
but I think
year. Yeah, next year.
Next year.
Next year for sure. It will be available in some format very early next year, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Donovan thanks us for sharing the cover. And I don't think I have any other questions on here, so we got.
Well, that's good, because I was going to say we got 4 minutes and then I'm out.
That's so fantastic! What great timing.
Do you have any 4-minute questions there on your doc there, Sean?
Yeah, I can knock out a couple here. Let's see.
No, you can knock out one.
Okay, so I noticed at my local science fiction convention that there were several self-published authors manning tables at the dealer's room. How would you rate attending events like these using your 80-20 rule? So that's a tough question, because I think it really depends on who you are. I know Donovan, who we just mentioned because he did our cover for Decoy Wallet, and Donovan's fantastic. And Donovan has the whole convention thing nailed. I think he does a pretty significant amount of his business is through conventions. But I think he has work that is really conducive to that environment. He works the environment. He's really good at working the environment and understanding what it takes. But I don't think that's true for all people or for their work. So again, it's a why thing. What do you expect to get out of any environment like that? And is your work? I know that Donovan has some stuff he can merchandise. He has little stuffed animals, and he has great character design. So it's native to that environment. If your work isn't native to that environment, it's probably very, very firmly in 20%.
Okay, we have a last-minute comment on YouTube. Greg Price says, hey, I got something weird and random. This should fit in. I'm president of Mobile Writers Guild and ordered some paperback books for writing and publishing. Write, Publish, Repeat, Let's Get Digital, How to Market a Book, and so many more. As I'm going through How to Market a Book by Joanna Penn, between pages 126 and 127, there's a 30-page section called Shipping Container Homes, How to Build a Shipping Container Home, including ideas, plans, and more. Like, what the fuck is this? Is Amazon trying to sell me something? Did Amazon accidentally throw this 30-page book in the center of Joanna's book? Or do they have marketing plans? I laughed out loud.
I don't know what to say to that.
That sounds
Sean,
like a
have you
mistake.
ever run into? Well, I'm wondering. I wonder if if there's a chance that's Joanna's mistakes. That seems like it either prints a file or doesn't print a file. However, I have heard stories about problems with quality of CreateSpace. Heard that.
You should definitely email Joanna.
I would email Joanna and ask.
If you want a rare book that will be out of print when she fixes it, buy it now, and you can have this special thing.
But that doesn't even sound like a file Joanna would have.
It sounds like one I would have, because I want a shipping container home.
You've talked about this, actually.
Yeah. I had nothing to do with it, though.
I don't know what to say to that. That's very odd. It doesn't sound like a book Joanna would have.
That's the new. If you don't opt in to select, then they can advertise in the middle of your book.
But I do think that that Johnny has a point that it either prints or it doesn't print. It's a file. So I really don't know. I do think that if that's the case on Joanna's book, she absolutely wants to know about it. So I would send her an email.
Donovan weighed in, Studio Moonfall, con artist for life, meaning, convention artist. So yeah, conventions can be very helpful. I think especially like sci-fi and romance and fantasy. Those are convention genres where people really form a tight-knit community, or communities, because there's different ones. Yeah, definitely, especially if you're in a genre where it works for you. Yeah. So we are at 9:29, Johnny. We are. I think we're done.
Look at that. Because I was just going to end it and leave you guys to flounder. So
no, last time you left us going and didn't realize that when you ended, we ended. So we were answering questions for like half an hour.
Yeah, it'll go if you set the time. Like if when you set the Hangout, you set it for a long enough time. But we were past time and the organizer had left. So I was snickering just a second ago because we would not get anything done without Amy to crack the whip on us. And I saw a new Asana task appear from Amy during this podcast, where she said a set date. Yeah. Right, set date for the next Ask Us Anything. So we don't have that yet, but if you are not on the repeaters list, get on it. It is sterlingandstone.net/repeaters, right? Plural? I always forget. So, yeah. I think both work, actually. And we'll let you know when there's the next one, but it will be sometime in September at the end, I assume. And not too close to the end because we will be away. We'll be gone together. And so that's just hang in there and get the next one. If you're on the podcast feed and you've subscribed.
Yeah, we tried to have it
just receive it.
Rejected us for September.
Yeah, Dave did reject us. Dave was going to join our threesome in September, but he said that he did not want to do it. He said, I'm too scared of the weird feelings that I'm experiencing.
Yeah,
so now I'm going to play Splatoon with Johnny and his kids.
I want to lose weight so I won't feel so body shamed by your abs. And I figure by April I can lose some pounds.
There you go.
Body shame.
All right. All right, everybody. So thanks for joining our Ask Us Anything, and we'll see you next time.
All right. See you guys tomorrow.
Bye.